Hi friends, this is Surojit Ray here. In this video, I shall be sharing some very interesting facts around the concept of Kaliyuga. This video is like a mini research paper on the subject matter. You may have heard the term Kaliyuga before. Let us try and understand what it actually means. A couple of requests to you before I begin. Request number 1. Listen to this video only if you are a serious seeker on this subject. If you do not seek in-depth awareness on this subject, this video is not meant for you. Request number 2. This video is not for fun purposes. It took me several years of in-depth research and study to gather what I have shared here in a few minutes in this video. So please see this video in full or just don't see it. It does not make any sense to see it in part. You would be unpleasantly dejected to note that as per relevant Hindu mythological texts, we are the most unfortunate generation of humans to be born on earth, since we have taken birth in an era known as Kaliyuga. This cursed phase in the history of this universe is slated to have started in 3102 BC, that is the year in which Lord Krishna departed from earth, and shall end in 4,28,899 AD, that is after another 4,26,879 years. This video has some very interesting facts to note and understand about Kali Yuga as obtained from various relevant Puranas. In all probability, you shall not get to hear these again, and these are also very relevant to you if you want to have a happy existence on earth. So fasten your seat belts and listen to the full video very carefully. To begin with, commencement date of the current Kali Yuga was calculated by Indian mathematician Aryabhatta. Further, there are contradictory views on the commencement date, the end date, and the tenure of the current Kali Yuga. There are two ways to look at it. One is on the basis of planetary alignment, and the second one is on the basis of what is overall written in Puranic and Vedic literature. If we look at it from the standpoint of Puranic and Vedic literature, it began in 3102 BC and shall end in 4,28,899 AD. However, planetary position based calculations by some have a different story to tell. So clearly there are two schools of thought here. I would however firmly stick to what is overall written in the Puranic and Vedic literature, since the same is also ratified by other scriptures such as the Bhagavad Gita. So in my view, the current Kali Yuga began in the year in which Lord Krishna departed from earth, that is 3102 BC, and shall end in 4,28,899 AD, that is after 4,26,879 years. Also, Lord Krishna has been quoted in one of the Puranas as saying that in the first 10,000 years of this Kali Yuga, God or Hari will prevail on earth and people will be inclined towards his worship. Post the first 10,000 years, there will be utter degradation of values and the concept of God shall deplete drastically. So the saving grace here is that we are only 5,000 odd years into Kali Yuga. So we have still not hit the worst patch and will not hit it for sure in this lifetime of ours, since it is still presumably 5,000 odd years away. The other school of thought believes that Kali Yuga is already over and we are currently in the phase of ascending Dwapara Yuga. However, seeing the world of today, by no stretch of imagination is the world exhibiting any characteristics whatsoever of Dwapara Yuga. Everything seen today ties up with what has been predicted for Kali Yuga. So, this is one more substantive reason to believe that we are indeed currently living through Kali Yuga. This shall get clear in the slides to follow. To understand Kali Yuga, we first need to understand the relevant time zones involved. As per the Puranas, we are currently living in an universe created by Lord Brahma. In fact, the name of this universe itself is Brahmand, which means creation of Lord Brahma. Lord Brahma's time zones are very different from ours. One day in the life of Lord Brahma is worth almost 4.32 billion human years on earth. Every day of Lord Brahma is a new creation, and every night he and Lord Shiva destroy what he had created that day morning. So the universe we live in is just one such day in the life of Lord Brahma, and this entire universe shall perish once this day ends for Lord Brahma. Trust, this makes you realize how minuscule we are in terms of our current individual existence. The various time zones in the day of Lord Brahma have been divided on earth in the form of Mahayugas. There are 1 1,000 such Mahayugas in any one day in the life of Lord Brahma. Each Mahayuga is further divided into 4 yugas which span across as follows. The first yuga of a Mahayuga is known as Satya Yuga, and it spans across 17,28,000 human years. The second yuga is known as the Treta Yuga, and it spans across 12,96,000 human years. The third yuga is known as Dwapara Yuga, and it spans across 8,64,000 human years. And the last yuga of a Mahayuga is known as Kaliyuga, and it spans across 4,32,000 human years. All put together, one Mahayuga comprises of 43,20,000 human years. 1,000 such Mahayugas make up 4.32 billion human years, or that one day in the life of Lord Brahma when he created this Brahmand in which we all are currently existing. As per Puranic literature, in terms of progression, mankind and values exponentially degrade from one yuga to another in a Mahayuga. Further, the transition from one yuga to another is marked by turbulence, climate changes, natural disasters, mass destruction, etc. Similarly, the end of a Mahayuga is marked by mass annihilation. It marks the beginning of new life on earth. Virtually, it marks the beginning of a new earth. Let me now give you a quick glimpse on the key characteristics of these 4 yugas representing the current Mahayuga in which we are living. First comes the Satya Yuga, or the Golden Age. It lasted for 17,28,000 human years. This yuga marked the age of truth and perfection. In this yuga, there were no crimes and humans were friendly and kind. Humans were long-living, powerfully built, honest, youthful, vigorous and virtuous. There was no agriculture or mining during this yuga, as the earth would yield these riches on its own. The weather was pleasant and everyone was happy. There was no religious sect. There was no disease or fear of anything. Human stature in this yuga was approximately 33 feet. Average human lifespan in this yuga was 1 lakh years. Only virtues existed in this yuga, and there was absolutely no existence of sin. Then came the Treta Yuga. The Treta Yuga lasted for 12,96,000 human years. In this yuga, there was slight degradation of truth and values. Many emperors rose to dominance and started conquering the world. Wars became common and the weather started becoming extreme. Human beings became slightly diminished compared to their predecessors. Agriculture and mining became existent. Exploitation of natural resources commenced in this yuga. Human stature in this yuga was approximately 22 feet. Average human lifespan in this yuga reduced to 10,000 years. There were 3/4 of virtues and 1/4 of sin to exist broadly in this yuga. Then came in the third yuga known as the Dwapara Yuga. The Dwapara Yuga lasted 8,64,000 human years. In this yuga, truth and values degraded further. There were crimes. Humans became tainted with vices. Wars became frequent. Humans began fighting amongst themselves. Humans became weak physically in comparison to their predecessors. Agriculture, use of labor and mining became rampant. The Vedas got documented in 4 parts by Ved Vyas in this particular yuga. Human stature was reduced to approximately 11 feet in this yuga. Average human lifespan reduced to 1,000 years. There was 1/2 of virtue and 1/2 of sins in existence during this yuga. Last came in the Kaliyuga, the yuga in which we are currently living. This yuga is slated to last for 4,32,000 human years. This is the yuga of darkness, ignorance and adharma. Heinous crime started becoming common in this yuga. People became dual-faced and hypocrites. The nasty and evil became popular and powerful. The virtuous and the good started to suffer. Humans started eating forbidden and dirty food, leading to new incurable diseases. Environment started becoming polluted and water and food started becoming scarce. Humans became very weak, were plagued with diseases, and majority of their latter life was spent in fighting diseases. Wealth became diminished. Families and values became non-existent. Agriculture, mining and mechanization reached their zenith during this Yuga. Land got degraded due to abuse, water bodies started getting polluted, and air was no longer worthy of breathing during the Yuga. In Kaliyuga, human stature is slated to be approximately 5 feet 4 inches. Average human lifespan is slated to be less than 100 years. Also, this Yuga shall have 1/4 virtue and 3/4 of sin. Now you know why I said we are the most unfortunate generations of human beings to exist. We are born in an era of degrading values. We are born in the cursed Kali Yuga. In fact, very interestingly, and as already explained earlier, the relevant Puranas claim that there is mass annihilation of mankind and life on earth when there is a change from one Mahayuga to another. So this is like destruction and new creation from scratch all over again. Further, the transition from one Yuga to another within a Mahayuga is also marked by mass destruction of life, either by means of a war or a natural or cosmic calamity. This is virtually like a reboot or restart of life on earth. If calculations were to be believed true, the last time this happened was approximately 5000 years back, when the current Kali Yuga presumably began. As documented in the Mahabharata, just before the start of this Kali Yuga, the Battle of Kurukshetra destroyed a huge chunk of existing human population. For all you know, Mahabharata was the first world war to happen. Of course, for a skeptic, it is very easy to shrug off all of this as petty folklore. A scientific mind would question and say that man never lived for 1 lakh years. How is it possible that in Satya Yuga he survived for 1 lakh years? Where is the evidence? So this is all holy crap. Likewise, all traced fossils of earlier species of man, including those of Homo erectus, were generally 3 to 5 feet tall. So how could man ever have been 33 or 22 or 11 feet tall? So these kind of questions are bound to come up to a scientific mind. And the simple answer to this argument is, how do we conclusively prove what actually happened millions of years back? As per relevant Puranic scriptures, the journey from one Yuga to another one is anyways marked by mass destruction. So how do you now find evidence for something which is presumably already destroyed in full when the Yuga changed? Also, just because evidence cannot be found now for this reason, can you blindly prove that all of this is false and completely untrue? In fact, whatever I shared till now was all about Hindu mythology. Let me now bring in global mythology over here and let us see how interesting all of this can really get. Scriptures from across the globe speak about the existence of an era where giants ruled the world. Then came a massive flood which was caused by cosmic factors, and this flood completely destroyed the earth, killing everything to exist then. This flood is referred to as the Great Flood in the Bible, as also in other masterpieces of global mythology. It is claimed that the entire topography, climate and landforms of the earth changed after this cosmic event, resulting in re-evolution of everything, and size of everything kept on diminishing with every such re-evolution. In fact, the very same reference about the existence of giants or 33, 22 and 11 feet tall men and women is also found in the Puranas, as explained in detail earlier in this video. Further, the Puranas also talk about mass destruction happening with the change of every Yuga. So, net, Hindu mythology says exactly the same thing on this subject matter as mythology existing in every other religion, and this amazes me to the core. How can there be so much of unanimity in global mythology on this subject? Could this all really be holy crap? Absolutely not. So, for a second, if we were to believe the theory of destruction and re-evolution at the start of every Yuga, then it is nearly impossible to find any fossils of people from the earlier Yuga, since they were all destroyed during the change of the Yuga. We all know that dinosaurs existed at some point of time, and they were whitewashed from the earth 6.5 million years back in one go. That also presumably happened due to a natural calamity, and science recognizes that. Same could be the case for shift from one Yuga to another. This is also possible, simply since we have not officially found fossil evidence of a 33 feet or 22 feet or 11 feet man. Does it conclusively prove that they never existed? Well, to me, the answer to this question is a sure shot and big fat no. Further, even when you look at other religions prevailing in the Indian subcontinent, such as Buddhism, Sikhism, and Jainism, they also clearly recognize and speak in no different language about Kaliyuga in their literature. In fact, Islam and Christianity, the two other dominant religions of the world, have also spoken about it, albeit using terminologies which are different. But does the connotation really matter here? Whether we call it the end of the world in Kaliyuga, or we call it doomsday, or we call it Qayamat, the terminology does not really matter here, right? Of course, skeptics may still continue to argue against, and believers shall continue to believe in what is written in mythology across the globe on this subject. This is a debate which shall possibly not see an end, really. Coming back to the core subject of Kali Yuga, let me share here that as per Puranic literature, Kali Yuga represents the reign of a demonic creature known as Kali. In contrast, all the earlier Yugas of the existing Mahayuga were ruled by divine or godly entities. Hence, Kali Yuga represents a demonic era. Moving further, let me now speak about some spine-chilling revelations about Kali Yuga as documented in the concerned Puranas thousands of years back. You will be amazed to note how true they are in the context of today's world. The following were predicted for the current Kali Yuga in the concerned Puranas. Rulers, meaning modern-day politicians, will become unreasonable. They will levy taxes unfairly. Rulers, meaning politicians, will no longer see it as their duty to promote spirituality or to protect their subjects. They will become a danger to the world. People will start migrating, seeking countries where wheat and barley form the staple food source. This means migration will happen from the Indian subcontinent to the Western world. Avarice and wrath will become common. Humans will openly display animosity towards each other. Ignorance or adharma will be rampant. Religion, truthfulness, cleanliness, tolerance, mercy, physical strength and memory shall start diminishing. People will forget what religion actually means, and rather they will fight and kill in the name of religion. People will have thoughts of murder and lustful sex with no justification at all, and will see nothing wrong in doing it. Lust will be viewed as socially acceptable, and sexual intercourse will be seen as the central requirement of life. Sins will increase exponentially while virtues will fade and cease to flourish. The human body will be reduced to a mere inanimate tool to fulfill lustful desires. People will become addicted to intoxicating drinks and addictive plants and substances. The plant here possibly refers to weed or ganja. In fact, this addiction will become the norm of the society. Gurus will no longer be respected, and their students will attempt to injure them. Their teachings will be insulted, and followers of kama, meaning lustful desires and pleasures, will wrest control on the minds of all human beings. Many normal human beings will declare themselves as God and make spirituality their business instead of sharing true and core spiritual knowledge. In fact, there will only be a handful left with true spiritual knowledge, and they will mostly choose not to preach, since none will be interested in following their preachings. Further, amongst the ones who choose to preach, most will actually be the ones who are the biggest of sinners. People will no longer get married and will live with each other just for sexual pleasure. Well, this possibly refers to live-in relationships. Weather and environment will degrade with time. Frequent and unpredictable rainfall, cyclones, and storms will become common. Unknown diseases emanating from animals will attack humans from time to time, brutally killing scores of people at a time. Floods, mountains collapsing, meaning landslides, seawater rushing on land, possibly this refers to a tsunami, and earthquakes will kill scores of people from time to time. Maximum age of humans will be 50 years by the end of Kali Yuga, and many people will have untimely death. Many fake ideologies will prevail throughout the world. Powerful sinners will dominate poor people. At the end of this Kali Yuga, Lord Vishnu will take birth on earth in his 10th avatar in the form of a horse-laden Kalki to wipe out sinners. We are just 5,000 odd years into this Kali Yuga, and we can see most of the above aspects already around us. Scary, but unfortunately true, isn't it? After reading this, do you still feel that what was written in the Puranas about Kali Yuga and other Yugas of the current Mahayuga are untrue and holy crap? Well, I leave this rhetoric question to your best judgment now. In fact, one of the most striking features about Kali Yuga, as explained by Lord Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita, is that virtue virtuous and honest people shall suffer badly during Kaliyuga. This is since they shall be in heavy minority and there will be bad people with vices all around. These bad people shall unfortunately rule the world during Kaliyuga while they are alive, and then they shall pay for their sins by rotting in hell after they die. Also, Lord Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita and Lord Shiva, as quoted in the Shiv Mahapuran, have specifically assured that God shall stand behind virtuous and honest people, always ready to guard them during this Kali Yuga. This shall reduce their grief and sufferings in the hands of bad people. So, if you are a good human being and have to face testing times ever in this birth, worry not. God shall definitely see you through your troubles. We all need to clearly remember this, that during this Kali Yuga, God is standing behind us as our shield, but unfortunately, He cannot rid us of our destined sufferings, which we will all have to face in Kali Yuga in the hands of bad people. So, learn to be tolerant, thick-skinned, and never lose your faith in God while you live through Kali Yuga as a good human being in this particular birth. And well, if you are a bad human being, then there is a very good chance that you shall bask in temporary glory on earth in this birth in spite of all your bad deeds, only to be then tortured in hell like never before once you are dead. Of course, instant karma in this birth itself also cannot be ruled out for you, so it is still not too late. Mend your ways if you need to. In fact, every yuga has its own philosophy for increasing man's proximity to God. The first three yugas emphasize on self-cleansing and tough penance as the ideal paths to increasing nearness to God and attaining salvation. As per Lord Krishna, in Kali Yuga, however, it is karma and unflinching belief or faith in God which shall be the key factors to help a soul attain salvation. People with clean and virtuous deeds are likely to suffer on earth in Kali Yuga, but they shall move several strides ahead towards salvation if they can pass through their test on earth and continue to remain virtuous all through keeping their faith in God intact. So, all in all, it is our karma and faith in God which shall be the key to seeing us through in this Kali Yuga. For sure, it shall be the quality of our karma in this lifetime and not our material victories or achievements through wrong means which shall actually decide how successful we were in this birth. Our material victories which stand on the base of bad deeds, if any, shall be the biggest illusion to exist while we live on earth in this Kali Yuga, only to be shattered badly once we stop breathing. Hence, learn not to sway. There is a lot beyond your journey on earth. A sinful life on earth in Kali Yuga would mean a rotten and torture-laden afterlife or life after death for you, and vice versa. In fact, it shall be very easy to be bad, lustful, egoistic, arrogant, non-spiritual, and hypocritical when living in this Kali Yuga. Learn to ignore this easy but wrong path. Take the right path, even if it brings 1,000 difficulties for you. It shall pay you for sure, but only in the end. So, to conclude, it will be extremely important for us to get our karmas right in this birth and have unwavering faith in the Almighty. People also often ask me, how does one define karma? So, for all those who have confusion around this concept, simplistically understood, karma means any action done or thought conceived with an underlying intent. I repeat, it means any action done or thought conceived with an underlying intent. Hence, there has to be an action or a thought as also an underlying intent to it to give rise to karma. Also, it is not the quality of the action or the thought which actually matters, but the intent behind it which makes the karma good or bad. So, the murder of a deadly terrorist committed by a soldier defending the borders of his country shall yield good karma for him, even though his action is that of murder. This is since his intent is to defend the lives of his countrymen from the deadly terrorist. As opposed to this, charity done by a rich politician so that he gains popularity amongst the masses and they later vote for him in an election will lead to bad karma, since the intent behind doing charity here was not to serve poor people but to gather votes by bribing the poor. So trust, you have now understood what karma means and how massively important it is going to be for you in this birth while you live in peak Kali Yuga. What I shared here is an extract of relevant Puranic literature as also literature from various other religions coincised into a small video of a few minutes. Trust me, it took me a few years of reading to prepare this video of a few minutes. Hope you end up rightfully benefiting out of it. Yes, for sure, this video is a bit heavier to digest when compared with all my other videos, but then the topic itself was very complex and it was meant only for mature audience like you. Hence, I dared to sink in some some depth into this specific video. And if you feel this is not what you believe in, no worries at all. I respect you for your belief system and shall pray for you. In this Kaliyuga, all have the rights to think and feel what they want, all to themselves, end of the day in Kaliyuga. Friends, after years of research on this topic, I strongly feel that the world and I know very little on this topic. I strongly feel that a lot more existed and all of it has extinguished with time. Further, man shall possibly never be able to lay his hands on that lost information again. What we are doing today is just joining dots, but a lot of dots remain in isolation with no clues whatsoever. I am as scientific as anybody else in terms of my mindset, and honestly, in this area, science is contradictory on many counts to mythology. I personally feel that a lot of information and evidence on this subject, both physical as also mythological, has been lost forever, and we are just not able to complete the puzzle now owing to these crucial missing pieces. But yes, after 20 years of in-depth research, which still continues, I can say with hands on my heart that most of what is written in mythology on the subject of Kaliyuga is being proven to be factually correct. I end by saying that for a believer, we know what it means and the path to follow in this Kaliyuga. And for the skeptic, this is just a piece of unbelievable folklore. Believe it or laugh it off. It is your call, end of the day. Trust you enjoyed this video and the worthwhile knowledge shared through it. Do like this video, subscribe to my YouTube channel titled Karma Cosmos Talks. If you have not already done it, hit the bell icon so that you can receive future notifications from my YouTube channel, and also leave a comment in the comment section below the video. Friends, I am a common man like you, but on an interesting and never-ending journey. On my YouTube channel, you shall find a lot of such interesting stuff which very few others speak about and research on. So, if you have not yet subscribed to my YouTube channel, please do so ASAP and encourage me to share more. Your subscriptions, likes and comments stand as my only motivation. God bless you. Wishing you a wonderful, fulfilling and happy life ahead. Thank you so much for watching this video.